right, today I woke up and I wanted to show you something cool. Come with me. Welcome to my little slice of paradise. And today I'm going to be talking about predicting the future. Your mind still? Or is it trying to control everything? Famous Alan Watts put it, the constant repetition of reckoning and calculating. It's your ego, and it leads to suffering. Hi, my name's John. Welcome to my channel. If this message finds you today, then you are absolutely meant to hear it. Let's open it up by the last 4 months since I've been in Costa Rica. I have been absolutely trapped in my ego. My ego's been telling me stories like, how will I survive? How will I make money? How could he do this? What am I going to do if I die? They're all stories that your ego is trying to tell you to get you to keep buying into them, to get you to keep thinking that this is who you are. Ego is trying to remain in control, and it's designed to reinforce itself. So it gives you the perception that there is no other possibility except for to believe this negative story about yourself. It isn't necessarily your ego's fault. There's nothing wrong with it. It probably happened a long time ago when events in your life made you feel unsafe. For example, when I was a kid, my father made me feel powerless. He used to tell me terrible stories about the way the world works and what I'm going to have to do, and he made me feel so isolated and powerless. So to this day, well, until recently, I have been struggling with powerlessness, and the ego wants me to think that I am powerless. This is the farthest thing from the truth. None of us are powerless. An ex of mine broke my heart. So now I have a hard time loving myself. There are stories of unworthiness playing in the background all the time. And this affects everything. This affects your entire life. This affects how you manifest jobs. This affects how you manifest relationships. This affects everything in your life. A lot of people staying in their relationships or their jobs they don't like. It's because society told you to play it safe, to don't do anything without certainty, without a plan. You have to stay in your lane. Right? Just stories. There's stories that the mind has built to keep you in a loop of perpetual suffering. Ego wasn't even designed to do all of this work. That's why it gets resentful and tired and angry. The ego was designed to ground you in this present moment and, maybe help you out with what has happened. But it has no idea how things will happen. And that's exactly what this world has designed in our minds, is this belief that the ego must figure it all out. And this is precisely why we suffer. The higher mind is what conceives of ideas. The higher mind can see where you're going. The higher mind is on the mountaintop, looking down into the valley. And that is where ideas are conceived. The physical mind receives this, and the ego perceives. It is a dance of consciousness. But when your ego thinks that it's the only one in charge, it's the only one because it has to do this for survival, for money, for relationships, for power, for love, whatever, you're cutting off that flow of consciousness. You're severing your intelligence. You're actually operating as a half-wit. Surrendering to the natural flow of life, which is something I'm learning, and I did mention in my last video, gives your ego a much-needed break. It actually positions itself in the seat of power, because it doesn't need to actually do very much. But this is where trust comes in, you see? Because we've been living in a world that is designed to sever that connection that we have with our higher self, with source, with nature, with all that is, with unity, with love, with abundance. It doesn't require effort. I've been working in this landscaping, so much work, and your value is only measured by your effort. And this is completely the opposite direction that the universe wants to take you in. And it's basically saying like, okay, well, are you going to control everything? This is the split. This is 5D and 3D. See, in 3D, we operate with ego. We want to control everything. We feel like we must to survive. Otherwise, we will die. We'll perish. The ego is petrified of dying. Okay? And in the 5D, we surrender. We surrender to the flow. We recognize we are not in control. I don't know anything. I am not in control. No matter how hard I want to control everything and to get a job and to get money, I can't. I'm not in control. I'm here for a reason. I have to trust. I have to open the connection with my higher self and recognize that I am not conceiving. It will come. It will come to me. I'm not just reading out of Buddha's playbook. You know, yes, I've watched a lot of Bashar, but this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm speaking to you from experience. I'm telling you that this is how I am moving forward. And I have no other choice except for to go back to comfort zones, to go back to believing that I am scarce, that I need money to survive, to go work for someone else. These are my options. It's either stay here and surrender in this beautiful place, or go back to my 9 to 5, go back to the hustle and grind. All that said, when you can bring yourself to a state of balanced peace, when you can allow your heart rate to slow down and your gut to just stop retching, you can make your mind quiet. Only then, when you trust and relinquish control, will you find the answers you seek. Experience moments of actual trust, like, oh my God, maybe I can do this. Maybe it's going to be all right. Maybe I don't have to worry so much. For example, I'm living on my credit cards and they're just growing and growing. Ego version of me wants to freak out about my credit cards. It wants me to worry and control and apply for jobs and just pursue that. But recently, I've come to realize that, yes, I am living on my credit cards, and any rational person would be like, you know, this isn't a great idea. But this is an investment in my future. And I trust that at some point, newly, my higher self will balance the scales. Everything's going to be all right. And I have time to focus on myself and try to push through this negative ego story and let it all go. And turn on my camera, my ideas and my stories and my struggles with you. I had moments of sudden clarity, of actual excitement. So I realized that this is my awakening. I came here for a reason, and it didn't look like it on the surface. And it was very scary. It has been hard. I understand why people don't face their fears. It's extremely challenging. But this is mastery. I need to have it all figured out. I don't need to know how I'm going to make money. I don't need to worry about it. But I do need to create, hopefully crypto. We'll see what happens. Now I have everything that I need. I've got food. I've got a lovely dog. I've got a partner. You guys, I've got YouTube. Always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to. So I now have the opportunity to invest in myself and pour my heart and soul into YouTube. Pour my heart and soul into creating something. A reality that I do prefer. Without a boss, without anybody holding me back, without someone pulling out the carpet from beneath me. Because I trust that my higher self can see what's going on here, can see that I've chosen to surrender to the flow. And so now when I go on walks, when I come here, I feel like I'm being guided. I feel like this message was guided. And I'd like to continue making these guided messages and riding this wave of momentum into my future, into the unknown, with bravery, with the knowledge that I am not abandoned. I am not alone. All the stories my ego is telling me are not real. They're just stories. Bashar says it all the time. We create our own realities. The way that you define something is the way that you experience it. So I went from fear, scarcity, lack, and somehow, through this process, I'm pointing the needle into abundance, unity, and love. This is why I'm here. This is the purpose. It wasn't to do mortgages. It wasn't to depend on someone else. So with that, I'd like to pivot. Since the title of this video is Predicting the Future, there is something to be said about projecting a future that you do prefer. So I've crafted a letter from 200 years in the future. That'd be 2225. I'd like to read it all for you because it struck a chord with me. And I thought I would share. Let's see, I got it typed up on my phone here. Transmission from John, 2225 AD. Received on Earth, March 2024. You thought you would never make it. There were so many nights when you would lay down and wonder if the light would come back in the morning. Not the sun, but your will to face another day. I remember the ache that had no name and the fear that had too many. The feeling of being so awake it hurt to breathe. The wondering, is there something wrong with me? Am I too fragile for this world? And I want to tell you something where I now stand. Nothing was wrong. Nothing ever was. You were becoming, not slowly, but violently, with the face of a dying star collapsing into a diamond. You didn't lose time. You made it sacred. You didn't fall behind. You fell inward. And yes, you cried more than others. You screamed at ceilings and swore at the sky. You wanted to disappear and reappear as something easier to love. But you were loved, even in silence, even when you didn't feel it. I am the version of you that never forgot that day in the jungle, that little apartment, that itch in the skin, the ghost in your solar plexus, and the day you sat in the dark and finally whispered, "Fine, I surrender." That was the day the tides turned. You became a lighthouse disguised as a man. You spoke in code that only the broken could hear, and they found you. Oh, John, they found you. You become a teacher without trying, a mystic with no robes, a builder of frequency temples across oceans, screens, and soul streams. And eventually, you stopped hurting. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped resisting your own depth. I walk in a world now where children remember their past lives, where language is fluid, and sound is medicine. The earth and stars speak in partnership again. I walk here because you chose not to die. Thank you. Keep going, my love. You are not late. You are the legend in the making. With that, thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you guys. Any feedback, what you like, what you don't. I look forward to more videos.